gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's go.
Round one. Fight.
Thank you for tuning in to the Crypto Street Podcast. Here are your hosts, Killer Whale, Prince, and Crypto Dale.
And remember to tip your waitress.
Yo, what's up, everybody? You are tuning in Crypto Street Podcast. This is Dale, Twitterless Dale. I deleted the damn Twitter.com app. It got me too riled up for now. Taking a little leave of absence. I've decided if I should have Prince run my account, build my followers up to at least 3 million. I don't know. Prince, what do you think?
You don't want me handling your account because I can barely handle my own account, and honestly, it's just, every day it's just another day in the jungle when you got a Twitter
Just
account.
another day in the jungle. That is so true.
Yeah,
what is good, Prince? What's good? Tell me you're living the dream. Living life.
Just trying to live my best life.
Yeah.
Just trying to live my best life. Was low key featured on Barstool and Spittin' Chicklets recently.
No big deal.
Yeah, keeping that low key though, although it's not too low key now. But yeah, pretty funny. I'm not gonna go explicitly say how and where I am featured, but I am in a video that was recently posted there. It kind of blew up. Pretty funny. Anyways,
it's hilarious.
It is. It's classic.
No way around it. It's total Prince video. So use your imagination, folks. Check it out.
The worst part was somebody tagged me in it. Like, this is Prince.
Oh,
here.
now you just done give it away.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they'll be able to find the tag. We'll see, because I never replied to it.
Did you like it though?
I'm not gonna say if I liked it or not. I'll be honest. When I first saw it, I was kind of paranoid. I was like, "What the hell is Buddy trying to do here? Like, is he trying to say something to me without saying it? Like, what is going on here?
Is he finna dox me here?"
Yeah. And then I noticed, oh, good, this is just blowing up around the web right now. So,
goodness gracious.
Yeah, that's about it, though. That's the only interesting thing happening in my life. That's about it.
That's a pretty interesting thing, though.
I guess.
Pretty big time here on Crypto Street Podcast. Yeah. So, what's good?
Living as well. We had the week off last week. Quick shout out to us though. 2 years as of last week. So
2 years.
Had its ups, it's had some downs, but been a hell of a ride. So
it's more fun recording in bull markets than it is in bear markets.
Yeah. It's so easy in the bull markets because you're like, yeah, Bitcoin's only up 10% today is the top end. And even 10% is not even like, it's good times. But KJ, you guys might know him as Korean Joe on Twitter. I believe, correct me well if I'm wrong, but I think KJ has one of the highest listened to episodes ever.
That is correct. How long ago was it? It must have been like a good year and 8 months or so.
Definitely.
Probably about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I think I remember. Yeah, I remember like
it was
the market
right before
was just,
February.
Yeah,
I remember it dipped, and there was a lot of uncertainty. I believe we were around 6,500, something like that.
Yeah,
and it was like, is this going to go back up? And it was actually a bull trap, but did bounce pretty hard.
It did. It bounced hard. Like, it bounced really hard. Because I remember the episode, and you're like, yeah, we're getting crushed right now, but I'm out here and I'm buying, and I think you guys should be buying too. And then it did. It bounced. I remember that one vividly. It bounced really hard. So, yeah.
Okay, so KJ, you called it last time. What are you seeing right now?
Wow, we're gonna get right into it, huh?
We're getting right into it.
Tell us what to do.
With the hot tips. Well, we're talking about like this was like a year and a half ago. Totally different market, and frankly, I'm a different trader. Learned a shitload in the
totally.
And it's like I feel like I've spent the last year really trying to redeem myself, make up to people, you know. We got caught being noobs, really, truth be told. But anyway, looking at this move, yeah.
I'm curious now, like before maybe we get into Bitcoin's moves, now you're just saying how you've done a lot of progressing just yourself as a trader, and you're a completely different trader than you were, say, our last episode. What are some things then that, you found that in particular have really, you've changed yourself?
Okay. So, we talk about the timing. It's an interesting timing for this podcast as well. So I will get into, Bitcoin price and whatnot, but, timing always matters. And I was a guy that I joined in May of 2017. And when you look at the chart of Bitcoin, now I'm not a quote unquote OG. I entered around 3K and I bought more at 1800 in July, like right before the Bitcoin cash fork. That's like kind of when I entered. And when you look on the chart, at the time it was like I was buying high, but it still was perfect timing because it was a full-blown bull market and was able to make an incredible amount of money. We're talking about like 200x in your portfolio in like 5 months. And that just goes to show you don't need to be in the bottom. So there are like people that bought Bitcoin at 500 or whatnot, or, $1,000 or $100 or mined it themselves. But if you enter within trend with good timing, like you can make a plenty of money. Like you don't need to catch the bottom. And one of the things that I did learn was like this whole business of knife catching and going against the trend, like that shit will wreck you. Like you don't need the actual bottom to make money. So it's like very important. It plays out on, micro as well as macro. So what happened was, when the downtrend hit, you had a bear market in BTC. So BTC versus US dollar was going down, bearish. And you also had a bear market for alts versus BTC, which we're still technically in. And for somebody like me that was an alt guy primarily, I wasn't trading MEX margin really. I was just like alts, all alts with BTC spot. But for me, that's like a double bear market. It's fucking death is what that is. And late in the summer of 18, I realized that I was just like, Jesus Christ, this is not reversing anytime soon because BTC looks weak and alts are still getting crushed by it. So at that point, I was just like, you know what? I can't even talk about alts. I used to do YouTube. I stopped doing that. And, I was fortunate to, I did a YouTube video with Kazanomics in June. And I remember it. Yeah, I didn't really know about it. It's not one of my prouder moments because here's a guy coming off a bull market that's new, that's on top of the world, ego huge. And then I run into a buzzsaw in Kaz where it's like, everything I know is wrong. I use the metaphor of, you guys rock and roll fans at all?
Oh yeah.
Eric Clapton, right? Great guitarist.
Yep.
You ever hear his quote about Jimi Hendrix?
No.
He said the first time he saw Jimmy play, he wanted to quit fucking guitar because he felt like he didn't know how to play because Jimmy was doing some shit that he didn't even know about. And it was just so innovative and different. So here I am, I'm interviewing Kaz, and it's like the stuff that's coming out of his mouth is just so next level compared to what I was used to in crypto. Crypto had gotten to the point where I had just decided I was going to filter out all the noise. I didn't want to listen to anybody. I didn't want any outside noise or influence affecting me. So anybody that was a large account or anybody in general, I had kind of made up my mind that I'm just going to do my thing and I'm not going to pay any attention to anybody. And when I interviewed him, we still laugh about it because I look like a fucking fool. And, he like basically called the whole move and he had the chart right behind him. And I'm sitting here like when moon, and that was the turning point for me when I was like, wow, I really gotta get my shit together. And, I was lucky to have him as a mentor. He taught me a lot. So, we talk about this stuff. One of the most important things is price, like understanding the shape of price and what makes it and what makes a bull market, what makes a bear market, what makes a trend. Primarily now I'm doing TA. I do a lot of the basics. We keep it simple. You know, a lot of people out there doing all sorts of fancy shit, yet they're constantly wrong over and over. So I'm focusing on being a good historian. I want to see how price behaves and where people are in that shape, as well as being a sentiment trader. And that's something that gets like kind of memed on CT. Everybody gets so focused on counter trading people, and it's not really what they think it is. It's a very more specific, and it's not something you can do so easily. So, but there definitely is a surgical accuracy that comes if you do it properly. So mainly some TA with sentiment trading is kind of like my game right now. That's the way I do it.
Now I'm curious, like, I think actually this is really good. I don't think we've ever had anyone even bring this up, the whole sentiment trading thing, because even myself, this is something where it's probably something that I'm like, it's something that I'm not very familiar with, you know, because like you said, there's the classic Twitter thing of, oh, well, everybody's bullish, so I'm going to be bearish, or, you know, that crap. Like, that's, to me, and that's just like a whatever, okay, this is just social media crap. Maybe like without giving up any secrets or anything, but when you're talking about sentiment trading, what does that mean, I guess, for you and your trading?
Well, this is, like I said, it was taught to me. Let's put it this way. When you have people like Warren Buffett, Jamie Dimon, and, you know, people that are just crushing it in markets, right? Every trade is binary. Somebody is selling, somebody is buying. So somebody's winning, somebody's losing. For someone like that to exist, you have to think about who's on the other side of that trade. Right. A lot of people are fucking losing. And just like we were talking about before we jumped on, we were talking about gambling. You know, the bottom line is the masses are losing. And value is scarce, quite literally. So that's like really the most important part of it, but you know, it's way deeper than that. When you think about the way things work, I mean, it's like when we were in 2017, everybody's like, yeah, it was a bull market, everybody was winning, right? So what do you mean everybody can win? Well, you have to think of all participants, and and that may be the people that aren't in yet. So I saw an article where it said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the most amount of capital flowed into crypto in December of 2017. That was about 70%. So 70% of the people bought the top, in essence, that entered. Now, when I started crypto in May, as soon as I got in, I was like totally infatuated and I was hyped up. There was a crazy amount of optimism. And I was telling all my friends and family, like for instance, I was telling all my buds to, hey, why don't you buy Ant shares? It's Chinese Ethereum. It's 50 cents, right? Should eventually went to $100 in December. But I was telling them to buy it at 50 cents, and my buddy bought a baseball card instead. And you know, nobody that I told listened to me, right, on the outside. But come December, my phone's blowing up off the hook. Everybody's buying. So the thing is, in May, June, before, we were still scarce, and the people that were in were the winners. But when you add up the total amount of participants, we were a very small percentage in relationship to who joined and who got fucking wrecked. Right. So, you know, it's basically something that it doesn't come easy, and you can get wrecked if you do it wrong. So I
really like that. It's a refreshing view almost, because it is, you know, it's fairly simple, and you know, it's like, it's not rocket science, but at the same time, like, it's something that I'll often overlook on things, you know. So yeah, that is, I like that.
Yeah, it's about, you know, kind of removing your bias and ego from things, and you start to see patterns. So like when you look at the charts, like Kaz always says this, he's like, he'll pull out like 3 different charts, right, in his blog, and he'll be like, could you name this chart? You can't look at that and be like, oh, that's oil. It's got to be oil, you know, and that's the oil monthly. No, you're not going to know, because it's always the same. And the reason why is it's the same people pushing the buttons for the same reasons. Human behavior is fractal. And that's the other part that people don't understand. You know, it's not what it looks like. It's who's doing it and why. So human behavior is extremely important, and that's that's where I spent a bulk of my time studying, and it's not easy. You know, you have to catch yourself doing shit all the time.
Yeah. I really like that. I think one thing I was just actually kind of refreshing myself on a lot of Wyckoff stuff, and one of the things he uses in his like stuff is he calls the market like the composite man, right? So it's, think of the market as one individual moving everything around. Don't think of it as, you know, all these randoms. Just think of it as you against one person, and what's the aim and all this. So yeah, it's the parallels there. It's really cool.
It's super interesting because you see all the emotions. When you have Twitter, there's so much data right there. Yeah. All these people. So like, imagine these large accounts, they only follow like 10 people. You know, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you're not getting the full picture. So like, I follow people all the time. And, you know, when you think about it, it's like raw emotion from your brain to your phone. When you're feeling away, you know, you're going to comment, and it's amazing to see the stunning precision and accuracy of some people's emotions, the way it plays out on the chart. It's really, it'll blow your fucking mind if you actually take notes and look back at it. So like, we look at the most common thing that you see is like, everybody's saying that we're bearish, so we're bullish, you know, like that type of thing. But then you find everybody is saying that, and you're like, oh, okay. You know, like, well, it's very difficult, you know, it can be at times, but that's why it's hard. That's why it's scarce. Not many people can do it. And then people that can't do it will say, oh, it doesn't work because it didn't work for me, you know? Well, no, you just don't know what you're doing.
There's a real quick that reminded me. There's a great Jeff Bezos quote where he's like, they're talking about like, well, how did you think of Amazon? Like, what led to that? And he's like, well, everybody spends their time thinking about what's going to change in the future. And what I did was looked at what things are going to stay the same in terms of what humans want: convenience, fast shipping, cheap prices, selection, all that sort of stuff. I mean, we're never going to want less selection, you know, or slower shipping. And you look at Amazon today, you know, like 15, 20 years down the line, and those are still the core things they value: convenience, quick shipping, ease of use, you know, one-click buy. It's human nature. And the same thing with markets.
Yeah. The other thing, it was interesting. I was listening to Joe Rogan recently, and I think his guest was Malcolm Gladwell, and they were talking about, you know, how to catch somebody that's lying. And this guy was telling a story, or Rogan was telling a story about this jiu-jitsu guy who was like a total liar, and he wasn't really a black belt, and he ended up killing people. And Gladwell said an interesting thing. He said, and Rogan was like, yeah, I had no clue. Like, I suspected a little something, but I had no clue that he was just like a fucking pathological liar. And Gladwell said, like, well, what if instead of listening and seeing him talk, like, if you just had the transcript of the words and you were able to look at it like kind of that way, would it have been more obvious to you? And it's kind of like, you see the same thing happen in markets too. Like, the price moves around and people get emotional like crazy. It's like you lose your logic. When you become emotional, you're no longer thinking clearly. And that's what you see on the chart constantly. You know, that's why people's targets that's the same emotion that makes somebody move their stop loss until the point that they're fucking liquidated. You know, emotions. You got to control that shit. Mm-hmm. If you're wrong, you're wrong.
Because I can almost time my own emotions with when the market's getting close to a bottom. Because usually, and it's funny, like, it's just things that I've kind of come to notice about myself now after the years of doing this, and you know, recently here the last few days have been one of those. It's like, okay, I'm starting to get pretty itchy here now. Like, I'm uncomfortable with what price is doing, and it's like, okay, that's how I know, like, we're getting close now to this bounce zone. Because when I start getting like this, it's like, this is kind of where I'm not thinking logically now. It's like things are getting a little weird.
Yeah, and notice how that's usually where it goes. Yeah, that's why it'll go, when you're on MEX, it'll go right to your stop, kick you the fuck out, and then bounce. It's because your entry was at a point where a lot of people felt excited about it, were scared, and all entered at the same place and put their stops at the same place, and that's where you lose. You want to be the person that's doing the opposite of that. You know, you don't want to do what everybody else is doing.
It's like the classic. I can't remember it's like people are like, yeah, if you have a stop here, just, you know what, boot that stop a ways down and wait for your entry a ways down more, because if you really like it here, you know, you're probably going to love it even more as it goes lower.
Yeah, there's so many people, and it's a common thing that you hear, that'll say like, why don't you just enter at your stop? You know,
Yeah.
the same thing as the trend is your friend. You hear these things, but people hear them so often that they're just like, oh, maybe that's bullshit, you know, and they ignore it, and then they fall right into the same trap again. You know, like that used to happen to me, and you know, got to the point where I was like, you know, why do I keep making these entries that stop me out and then go in the right direction? It's because I'm doing something wrong. And rather than kind of like modifying the approach, like I really wanted to like kind of build the fundamentals so where like my entries would be right. And it takes a tremendous amount of discipline to do that. It's hard. I still struggle.
It's it's probably the hardest thing. Like that's one of the things that I'm always working on myself, is just getting better with timing, because and it's the
Timing
same thing.
Everything.
Yeah, right. And like oftentimes I'll find that, you know, my whole view on the market as a whole is correct, but I will just move maybe a week too early. But in that week, like a lot of shit goes down and you're hating your life for making that move when you did.
Do you journal?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, if you find that you're doing the same shit over and over, just stop doing that.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it is, just don't do it anymore. It's hard, but
it
you know,
is,
like
right?
when you think about it, like it's so crazy because like most of us, a lot of people, and I'll speak for myself, but a lot of people, I find that this is common. You know, when you think about like really the surge of crypto, the bull market that was 2017, a lot of people entered with dreams of, you know, financial freedom. And that was a big thing that I was talking about. The excitement, but we didn't come from financial backgrounds. And think about how dumb we sounded. We're talking about, oh, the institutional bags, you know, the institutional money's coming. Like we welcome them to come in. And we didn't know shit. It's like, let's bring the professionals in and they'll buy our bags. Like it's so dumb. So when you think about trading, I was talking about this the other day, it's like I compare it to any sort of like high level professional sport, or like I was a wrestler. So, you know, there's levels to that. And in the beginning, you kind of just like, hey, you're stronger, you do your move. But like when you get to high levels, everybody's strong, everybody's in shape. And the minutia to actually execute your moves, it's like there's so many different setups, and it's so high level. Same thing with video games. You know, you're playing Street Fighter, right? And you're doing, sure, you can, you know, like that's the first step. You know how to do the move. Okay, great. Now, when you start to play a professional, when you do that, sure, you can, if you miss, they're going to fucking kill you as soon as you come down, because now you've left yourself open. So you've made a risky move and you took a risk. Now you get punished for it. You know, it's like if you're trading, there are no levels. It's like you're instantly in there with the top tier guys. You know, if you're playing like a video game like League of Legends, you start at the lowest level and you work your way up to the highest. You earn your place, and you're playing against people that are equal skill. When you're trading, you're playing against guys like fucking Alameda. This guy is from MIT. He's a quant trader. He has a whole team in his room, and they have a tremendous amount of capital, more than you do. And that's who you're actually up against. So if you come in here with some emotional bullshit, willy-nilly attitude and don't spend any time doing TA and I'm going to go along because I think BTC is going up, like you are the fucking food, and you should just stay the fuck away if you're not willing to do what it takes, and not everybody's going to make it. So, you know, that's what it is.
I love this because honestly, like this is just right down to what the market is. And like, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. It's like, you know, you think about ways to pretty much steal people's money. The market is,
that's exactly
it's a legal playing ground for it, right? And you are against sharks, right? It's just pirates everywhere, and they just want to steal what you got. And it's, you know, it's open season, like it's always.
Yeah. When you think
going back
about,
to
go.
Oh, real quick, just going back to the topic of like making the same mistakes over and over. I think a lot of it is like degree of change. And what I mean by that is like, let's say you keep taking on positions that are too big and you keep getting liquidated and you keep reducing what you do because you're like, okay, I don't want this to happen again. I'll do a smaller position, but you're not doing it nearly to the degree you need to, you know, where you really should only be gambling X percentage of your total amount.
Oh yeah, risk management is important. That was something I had no concept of in 2017. I was just like, I didn't know anything, and a lot of us didn't. And the problem is some people are still making the same mistakes. They didn't learn, and those people are going to lose. But you have to, if quote unquote alt season happens, people are going to make some money. The people that are in now, and the people that come late are going to lose. But ultimately, those skills, you don't what do you do if crypto just turns out to be bullshit and disappears, right? Then what do you do? The skills that you learn trading this market transfer everywhere else. In stocks, you have the craziest 10-year bull run probably of our lifetime. I may be 70 or 80 before I see something like this, God willing. And nobody, if Bitcoin was doing what the stock market did in the past 10 years, do you know how crazy it would be?
Oh God.
Nuts.
Nobody's talking about it. Now you're starting to see people come along, but it's the skills that you learn, you could trade anything. That's the goal. So that Bitcoin's doing something and you don't know what it's going to do, or if alts are in just a downtrend and you don't want to play them, then you go look at oil, you look at gold, you go look at Tesla. You do something else. It doesn't need to be just this.
So let's do a hypothetical. Let's say rewind time 2 years. You open up a chart. What would you have looked at? And then let's go to today. Let's say you open up a chart of something you haven't seen before. What do you look for, and how does that contrast?
Okay, so 2 years ago, I look at a chart. I was doing all the pleb shit. I was doing whatever was the flavor of the month. Fib retracements. Just there was even a point where I didn't completely believe in TA because I saw what was moving the market. It was a hype driven market. Let's face it. I'm not there are new people listening to this. I have no fucking clue who I am. Who is this Korean Jewish guy? Somebody needs to let them know what 2017 was, because it was to the point where I would literally tweet hey, I like this altcoin, and this shit would go up 50% 30 seconds. Literally, that's what it was. And at that point it's hey, I don't need TA. This, I'm keeping it real with you. That's what it was. and you kind of it just it totally handicapped me. When the shit turned, I had no clue what I was looking at. So I wouldn't sit here and say I really knew anything back then as far as TA. I was a quote unquote FA guy. And in my own way, I was a scarcity in the system, because one thing I did know was I wanted to be on the projects that people would FOMO into, right? Before anybody else. So I was constantly looking for these ICOs and tokens that nobody was talking about, and there was no exposure. And then I would look and scan through them and say, okay, is this something that if people saw, would they start to research and then start to shill to everybody they know? And that's how I found Walton Coin. I was the first person to do a YouTube video on it. That was my first. I created my own YouTube just to do a video on that stupid coin because nobody had done it yet. And I'm I saw what Neo and Shares had done, and I saw there was a tremendous amount of excitement around Chinese blockchain, and IOTA at the time was hot. And here's this Chinese with some sort of partnerships. It's dumping. Nobody's talking about it. And they're doing RFID tech. And I'm looking at it and I'm if people get wind of this, all the shillers, because at that point I had no followers. My goal was to get it to the attention of somebody big. So, if Wolf of Wall Street sees this, he's going to shill it. And then his followers, or if Superman sees this, they're going to get a hold of it. And, I made the video and within 2 days, I had 3,000 views and the price was up 300%. And it was wow, what is this? What is going on? It was just fucking crazy. And then we're starting to see this now. It became one of those, well, this is the next this. Did you love making 5x on this? Well, here's my next one. And it just one after the next, it started to line up. So I was always trying to find what people weren't on. So EOS, for instance, there was a point it had dumped. Nobody was talking about it. When it first listed, it was the hottest thing in China. Everybody was talking about EOS. It had a huge ICO. And then I got into it 60 cents. And I'm everybody forgot about this shit. I think this is a good time to buy. You know, that's what I was always looking for. Like, what was a value compared? It's like you're comparing assets. This versus what's its competitors. All right, what's the market cap? Is this undervalued in terms of relationships to its competitors? And will people buy this? That was like kind of the way I was going at things back then. Now I don't really care about FA as much.
Probably more of like a step back right now, where you just like
Sorry,
consider where we are. Like, no, all good. So
I think too, KJ, one thing that you know, as we being, you know, I think I can speak for all of us on the podcast is as we kind of mature in this space, you know, early on you're trying to accumulate as many BTC as you can, and then that's still definitely the case. But I think, you know, early on you're really trying to hit that home run right away. So you're trying to jump in and out of alts. Or when I say you, I mean all of us. And so you're trying to hit that home run, and then the more you're in this market and sector, the more you can, you know the leverage trading and stuff like that. So you kind of hone your skills to the just trading Bitcoin and maybe dabbling in Ethereum and just kind of stuff like that. It's just kind of what I've gathered. The guests that we've had on, you know, especially from like the time when you and I got in and early to mid 2017, where we're, you know, not OGs by any stretch, but maybe you could say somewhat seasoned traders in this space.
Yeah,
so it's just kind of cool to see that.
You know?
That's you know, too long don't read. That's kind of exactly what it is.
You know, well, the thing is, there could come a time where, like in 2017, the dumbest of the dumb win the most, you know, because the market becomes illogical. The crazy shit happens. And, you know, the whole time as this thing was happening at 17, there were a lot of people with experience warning us of what would happen. But it was interesting because crypto Twitter didn't have like a tremendous amount of history keeping. People didn't understand. And it's like, I listened not recently, about a year ago. I listened to this interview Kaz did with this guy, Bob Surplus. It's from like 2015. And it's insane like, I heard it, I wanted to cry because the same shit that happened in this bear market, like it was the same exact conversation. Like you wouldn't know it was 2015. They were saying the same things. Like the guy Bob goes, you know, everybody knows all these coins are scams. Like who's going to buy them again? You know? And it's like, Kaz like, yeah, well, what's old is new again sometimes, you know? Like the same thing happened. And all the coins went to shit and BTC dumped 90% or whatever. And that sentiment, that feeling is like, it's like exactly the same thing. But we come in 17, like we're just thinking of it from our perspective. Like, oh, what happened? It went from 1,000 to 200, big deal. You know, I wish I could buy it 1,000. I bought it 3,000. You know, you're not thinking of it what it was like emotionally for those people. And nobody looks back and sees like what happened. The history is gone. And that's what I meant by like being a good historian. A lot of people think 2017 was just like a straight bull run and everybody made money. Truth be told, I got plenty of DMs before like December of people that like, I lost all my money. I feel like killing myself. I had horrible DMs, you know, please help me. Because people forget that when BTC forked, altcoins got killed. They were in a bear market again versus BTC.
Yeah.
A lot of coins were down 70, 80%. When then that was Bcash fork. Then you had the Bitcoin Gold fork, then Bitcoin Diamond, then Segwit 2x, which was canceled. And then Bitcoin went on, like every time the fork came up, everybody would sell their alts and go right to Bitcoin because they wanted the free whatever fork coin it was. So alts were like minus 70% and everybody was all in on alts and BTC was just crushing them. So a lot of people don't get it. They don't look back and see what actually happened. Everybody shapes the history the way they want to remember it, but it's not what people say it was. You know, you saw a lot of people get destroyed. In September when China FUD hit, and Jamie Dimon came out on, I remember it was on a Friday. He said Bitcoin's a scam, and you had the China FUD, and it went from 5K to 3K, and Ethereum was like around $100 or something, or 120. And then you kind of see the money pour in with a V bottom. but there were a lot of scary ass times. People were saying like, is this it? Is it over? So, know your history, understand what's happened in the past, because it doesn't always happen the same way, but you can get a sense of how things are based off of previous instances, I guess.
So
looking at it, I think we're probably going to say the same.
I think exactly we're going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Looking at the chart like right now, what do you think happens from here? Short term, medium term, long term, whichever time frame.
And KJ, don't feel like you have to give targets or calls or anything. Just
Yeah,
a general
it's like
overview.
Well, I made a tweet earlier. So the area that we've hit right now is a significant area of interest. Been looking at for some time, like literally hit it like to the dollar pretty much. This pulled back a lot further than a lot of people expected. This last dip broke a trend line that had been acting as support for some time. If you're bullish on BTC, you want to see it bounce here. Below, it could get pretty dicey. The way I'm playing this is, I think it's a time to take some risk. You define that. You don't want to get destroyed on this. It's technically like a knife catch playing this. This is a knife catch, and you don't need the bottom. So like another way to play it is you wait to see how price develops. Like if this level holds and then you start to get closes in different areas that will kind of like reaffirm your bullish bias, like like then you can play that in trend and like be right away. It doesn't always take off without you. Like 3,000 in a day or whatever it was that day, it didn't just go up 3,000. It stalled at key levels and then just kept breaking out. So I have different areas that I'm looking at where if it gets above that, then you can add to position or you can open position there with stops. But the way I see it is I would be taking some risk here.
I like it. I'm on the same page, so I like it.
That's not good.
Would it be even worse if you say I'm on the same page?
So if we're all on the same page, I may short this, to be honest. No, we really all shouldn't be. Like if everybody feels comfortable longing here, then it's probably not it. But
here's the thing, right? Like where I was saying, like I can usually tell when it's like, okay, now I'm getting uncomfortable with how price is acting, and that usually ends up being a turning point or a consolidation point at the very least.
Let me ask you, how comfortable were you when it went back to the low? How did you feel today when it retested that low?
Oh, well, fuck. I wasn't even watching it really, so I was waking up. No,
somebody said, "Oh, fuck."
I didn't see it. I looked at the chart and I was like, oh, well, this is good to see. We still got this shit going on. And then it was like, thank God it's not below that. And all right.
Right. Well, hey.
I don't like these levels, though. Like the levels, and this is where you were like, it broke a lot lower than a lot of people were expecting. I wasn't expecting it to go this low. So that's where now what I was looking at was that like really 87, 86. I was like, okay, I like this. And then I was like, okay, this is kind of maybe I should redraw these lines a little lower. And so then I go a little lower and then it's, now we're down here. And I'm like, okay, this is like the point now where if it's going to keep breaking down from here, then
one thing that we saw when we were in the initial wave after the pump to 10,000 plus, everybody, what price was everybody saying they were going to buy it? Do you remember?
Oh God, that pump where.
So when we were in this wave and we were like between like we went to 10,500. No. Yeah, when 74 took off and then it started to like kind of stall up there, and
I think like 95 was the hot zone for a bit, and then.
No. There was a common level when it started to look bad. Everybody was expecting. The number was 8,900. So
okay, 89.
Saw that. A lot of people were talking about their orders were at 8,900.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, okay.
Yeah.
that's probably not a great place to buy.
No, and yeah, I'm looking at it now, and sure as shit that acted as well. It turned into resistance. So
Yeah, everybody was looking at 8,900 because that was the bottom of the first wick,
yeah,
and it retested it again, and they're like, oh, 8,900. All right, so we're up here. Yeah, I'll buy that again.
yeah,
But when everybody's looking, doesn't always play out that way. So
yeah.
this is the area that we're at is significant. That's what I
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, like from what I'm watching, it's like I don't want to be seeing it going much lower. Otherwise, to me,
No, but
what
if
I've been watching.
if you prepare for
changes,
this,
but-
then there's no emotions. If it's
But,
not
yeah.
the area, then you take a minimal loss. The way the trade is structured for me is like,
Yeah.
if I lose, it's just lost. That's fine.
Yeah.
Today, figure
Yeah.
it back to the drawing board. Let's do another one. We're not gonna lose half my account.
Yeah, exactly.
if it doesn't go my way. So that's how you like kind of reduce the emotions at play. You want to be right. You want to win trades, but if you structure them in a way where you don't have to win every trade, because that's what crypto Twitter is like anytime
Yeah.
someone gets it wrong, they're like lambasted publicly. So that's what you have people
it's-
deleting their tweets. It's
Yeah.
all sorts of shit going on out there.
Yep. Yeah, it's it's like the people, trying to shout out their, I got a 90% strike rate on my trades. It's like, well, fuck, man, I wish I had a 90% strike rate because I don't, but I still end up being profitable. So, okay. But it's like, if you were to go on crypto Twitter and be like, yeah, I just lost like 2-3 trades in a row, you're probably going to get shit.
Yeah, they're going to be like, you're shit. But like
Yeah.
the reality is,
Yeah.
if you're trading, like that could happen. It's going to happen. You have to prepare for that. And
Yeah.
if you're not managing your risk properly, your trades might wreck you.
Yeah.
You might be really
Yeah.
hurting after that. So,
Exactly.
obviously, depending on like where you're at, like sometimes people will take more risk. Like I get that, but you just got to be careful. You got to be
Mhm.
careful with that
One
because
thing that's oh, go ahead, man.
yeah, no, like if you're taking too much risk, like here's what I see very common. People that aren't like appropriately managing their risk, what they'll do is they'll constantly be like flip-flopping and they may have a great entry and they'll be like, oh, I moved up my stop and I got kicked out,
Yeah.
stopped out in profit or whatever the case may be. It's like how did you structure this trade?
They didn't.
If you're constantly like you have to like take your computer to the bathroom because you're in a trade and like you can't sleep, like something's wrong there. That's not the right way to do it.
Yeah.
And, like it's probably they're probably doing too big of a position.
Yeah.
So
I
you
remember
fall into
those
that
days.
category. You may get lucky every now and then, but it's not.
Yeah.
not
The
like
long
really
game
what
doesn't
you
work
do
when
it.
you're doing
Yeah,
that.
no.
Right.
You
One
don't
thing
need
for
to
me
win it all.
personally is like I try not to like redraw lines. Like I want to go super high time frame, like daily, weekly, draw horizontals, whatever I'm using, and just keep them there. And like I've had these lines on my chart for quite some time, and if you just let them sit there, like it's obvious where the consolidation zones are when you zoom out enough, right? And I think you just kind of let it play out, and it's remarkable how many of those zones it hits like perfectly, and then consolidates or reverses. Or it breaks a
That's
certain line
that's
that
a
was
gem.
stays there.
That's a gem right there. Price has memory. Like a lot of these areas the areas that I have mapped out on my chart, been there for a long time, and there's significance there. I mean, like significant things happen. We're talking about like over a year ago. Like there's a lot of price history there. That's why I picked those levels, and it's interesting. Like the way price behaves, back to being a good historian, look back, you don't want to just keep drawing stuff all the time. Like you can leave
Yeah,
stuff
if you
there and
keep
see
drawing,
how
like, you're trying to like make what you want to happen if you're just redrawing, which is like you got to take yourself out of it and be like, I may want this to happen, but that's not what's most likely to happen.
yeah, people think the market gives a shit about them. Like the craziest thing is like, I just want to make X amount on this trade and then I'll exit. Like people are structuring their trades that way. Like if I can make 100% on this, then I'm going to close. Like
That's
doesn't
the
matter.
worst. That's,
or if I get to this amount of dollars, I just got to get to this, and then You know, like that's just like not logical.
That's how I know I'm about to lose money is when going into a trade.
You're like, oh, I almost
Yeah.
made 10,000 on this trade. You're at 9,000, and then it
Yeah.
fucking blows you out.
That's exactly right. That's where I know it's like when I start thinking about, okay, I'm gonna make this much money on a trade, and I'm not thinking about, okay, well, what's the max drawdown I'm gonna have, right? When my first thing on my mind is how much am I gonna make, usually it's just a shit trade. So
Yep. You know how you solve that? Just buy March calls and be good to go. 16K calls and be good to go.
there we go. There we go, baby. All right.
So we just a little update on the fantasy football league that we got going on. We were, again, like we took last week off, we were all celebrating in the beaches of somewhere, celebrating our 2-year anniversary. So a little caught up on this. So what we do is we've got a 36 people from Crypto Twitter, Fantasy Football League. Whale, Prince, and myself are all in one of the leagues. Each league winner gets paid, and then we battle the three. It's going to probably be Prince, Whale, and myself battling for the prize, especially if Tezos moons. So just a heads up. But in Wales League, which is the Ardor League, which is a platform for business and developers that provides quick, easy, cost-effective, and scalable ways to use the blockchain. Check them out, ardorplatform.org. Dynasty is 8-3, scored about just shy of 1,400 points. Overall, he is out of all three leagues in the lead right now by 10 points. But pretty strong team, I think. Whale, what do you think on him? He's in your league.
He is. I think he's the front runner. The man to beat
too.
great last year too. So he's got the body of work, and yeah, I don't think anybody's really right there.
Yeah, I would agree. He's got a solid team. I don't know, quite honestly, how he has 3 losses, but that's besides me. So, OhioBitcoin.com league, that's Prince's league. OhioBitcoin.com is a crypto market capitalization price index website. All the same tools as other pricing indexes with real-time price data. GTmetrics.com gave them an A. Check them out at OhioBitcoin.com, and that is Scranton Stranglers at 8-3, scored 1388, so he's 10 behind Dynasty. Prince, what do you got?
Well, you know, Scranton's a good team. I knocked him off. I'm one of his 3 losses. He's a good team, though.
Boom.
I'll give him that.
Boom.
He's a good team. Right now, I'm fighting for my life to just try and get that last playoff spot. I'm currently in a playoff spot right now, but there's 1 week left here. And I got some big injuries going down. I got Marlon Mack out. I got Tyreek Hill injured again, but they got a bye week anyways, right? Yeah. It's going to be a tough one. Pretty much I'm in as long as Scranton can actually just beat his opponent this week. Then I'm in. I'm in the playoffs. And,
Just sometimes you just got to get in, you know?
yeah.
You can lay the regular season to rest and focus on the mission at hand.
Exactly, right? It hasn't been pretty. I got a lot of injuries going on. I love a bye week, but I'm not getting one of those, obviously.
No, full force.
But you know what? At the end of the day, when you win it all, they're not asking you how you got into playoffs. You know, it's just
right.
You got in, right? That's it.
That's right. And then these players on your team are going to be getting that bonus.
Exactly.
So last league is my league. That's the Block Party League. Block Party leverages digital identity, blockchain, and smart contract technology, bring transparency, security, and fairness to the ticketing process for event creators and attendees. Find more information at goblockparty.com. Shooter McDarren is 8-3, scored 1,200 points, 1,270 to be exact. Decent team. I still think I have the best team in my league. No surprise here. I believe I haven't actually checked the projected playoffs in ours, but I believe I got a big W last week against Bit Squat, who was in first place. Took down the house. Don't step in my way. Don't step on the tracks when the train's coming through. That's the Dale train, because I'm gonna take the ship. Dynasty ain't got shit on me.
Dale the Outlaw.
Yeah.
Euphoria.
KJ's.
Wait.
Just a reminder, we're all playing for the Zelcore Championship. It's the only blockchain cryptocurrency platform you need. Hold over 20,000 assets in one location and trade seamlessly with Zelcore Plus. Check them out, Zel.network. Now what everyone's been waiting for, boys. I'm giving live pricing updates on our altcoin portfolio's. Any prediction on who's in the lead and who's in last?
I better be him first because I don't think too much has changed since last time.
So,
Literally nothing has changed about mine, really. So
KJ, what we did, I don't know when this was. August, guys?
this is a while ago, yeah.
Here, I'll tell you. It was, August 20th. What we did was we took we got one Bitcoin, 3-round fantasy draft, randomly drew the order. We got one Bitcoin on each alt, and then at the end of the year, we're going to see who has the highest portfolio. So, again, obviously.
Dag.
Who picked what?
Dag.
I don't know if anyone did.
No.
So, I know.
Fine.
So
10X,
what,
baby.
if I could redraft, I would. So what we got is in last place with me with 2.93. My highest, fuck you guys. My highest is Ardor at 1.17. Whale is in second with 3.09 BTC.
What?
Yeah, his highest is Tezos at 1.37. That makes
Nice.
Prince the leader at 3.27. This is live pricing data for you. And FTT is in the lead at 1.4. We still got a month left. I'm going to come back again and win this one. KJ, thank you so much for being on. That was a lot of good info tonight, and we appreciate it, man.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. If you guys like it, you know I got a Twitch, man. Got to play.
Yeah,
Check
show
it out.
everything.
Show
Tell
it
everybody.
right
Show it all. Yeah, now everybody's gonna tune out. No, but seriously, we do like me and Kaz do a Twitch called Rect Hour. On my Twitch, it's twitch.tv/realkoreanjew, and Kaz is winternomics.tv. Like, it's pretty crazy. Like, there aren't many streams where you'll see like 150, 200 people live, and we go for like this. Like, this is I can't believe this is over already, because like when we do a stream, this fucking guy, it's like we're going for 5 hours. It doesn't stop, man. It's an ongoing joke, because like later in the stream, I'm wrecked. Like, I'm like, we gotta end this shit, So like
That's
I've been
like the
trained
danger,
for
yeah.
a
Like,
very long time.
okay, yeah.
We go down the rabbit hole in there. And it's like
That's what it seems like.
I mean, you should check it out if you haven't seen it.
I'm gonna.
Like, the
I
content.
am gonna look into it,
The
yeah.
content that's being there. I'll give you this. So the Wall Street the Wall Street cheat sheet that everybody means.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kaz was the one who brought that to crypto Twitter. He was the first one. And do you know what chart that is actually on there?
No.
The Cisco Systems.
Oh, really? Fuck.
But in the last episode, this dude dropped some shit, man, like kind of groundbreaking.
Yeah.
As far as like an amendment to that crash cycle, so it's not complete. It's not what everybody thinks it is. So anybody that's like kind of curious about that, you should check that out before the video goes away. It's only going to be here for like a few more days. All of our stuff gets like deleted after like 14 days. So anyone that subscribes, you have access to the older videos. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like,
Cool.
I think it's a lot of fun. It's great content, and if you like this type of stuff, don't be shy. Come through, say what's up, watch it.
Right on.
I'll be cool.
For sure. Although, aside from the Twitch, you can check him out on Twitter. It's at Korean Jew Crypto. So smash him a follow. Thanks again, KJ. We appreciate it. It's good content, good shit. Everyone,
It's fun, man.
hopefully
let's see if we can
people
do it again, just like the first time I went on. Let's watch what BTC does here.
Yeah, Bill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a fractal. That's a fractal right there.
Here we go.
Need the pump god.
There we go. I like it.
That's right. I love it. We'll do it. So thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks
Peace
for
out,
having me
tip your
on, guys.
waitress. Hey, no problem. Hootskis with the boys. Everyone take it easy.